Hour with Johnny Radio.
If you like pina colada.
On AM 560, 96.1 FM, and 87.7 FM. This hour of Sports 56 Happy Hour is brought to you by MemphisFarmers.com. Insurance coverage backed by a local agent and a brand trusted nationwide. We are farmers. MemphisFarmers.com.
Check it out right here.
Ladies and gentlemen, and now,
The three-time sexiest man in Millington, Johnny Harden.
Yo, 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 it's Wednesday. Happy hour is here. And that means, you know what? It's 5 o'clock somewhere. I said it's happy hour. Go ahead, man. If you're on quarantine still, crack that bottle. Sit back and relax. Sports 56 Happy Hour is going to take you on a nice little trip for the next 2 hours as we lead you into sports time with Wolo and Stats. Until then, though, me and my good buddy Gabe Kuhn, we are in charge. And when I say we are in charge, we are large and in charge. Well, I'm losing weight like it's going out of style. Lost 21 pounds, by the way, homie. Oh! By the way, I haven't done anything different. Just quit taking this medicine. So annoying, I'm sure. But Gabe is looking solid still on sex appeal. His beard is getting massive, and you can also watch and look how good Gabe looks with his big beard and how sexy I look 21 pounds lighter, because you can check us out on Sports 56 WHBQ on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, and Instagram. So not only are we on the AM 560, the original gangster, 2 FM channels, 96.1 and of course 87.7 FM, but we are all over social media and you can check us out. Don't forget to follow Gabe at G_Coon71, me at Johnny_radio. And if you did all that good stuff, then you would know we have a very, very busy schedule because I tweeted it out earlier. We're going to open things up, talk to you about what's going on in the world. We got MVP odds for the National Football League for people who like to bet. We got a thing called Fight Island that I have got to figure out what the bleep that is. There's a thing called Game On I want to learn about with Serena and Gronk. And it looks like James Franklin, or is that the Key and Peele dude? I can't tell if it's Franklin or the Key and Peele dude. But there's 2 sports guys. Serena's the sports woman, and you had Gronkowski. And then I couldn't tell if that was James Franklin or Key and Peele. And they're doing a thing called Game On, so we'll talk about that. And then we'll just talk about how COVID-19 is affecting everything, and we'll see what's going on in Major League Baseball, as well as what's going on with the NBA, as some stuff has now come out. I think Adam Silver has a huge thing on his plate, and he's got a big decision he's going to have to make. Whereas Major League Baseball, the owners, I feel like, have tried to set up the players to look like a bunch of villains here in this situation. I'll explain earlier. I think one of the first people to take the ignorant position of, man, these guys are villains, would actually be, of course, not shocking to me, by the way, but of course, guess what he is? A governor. Did you hear about this by any chance, Mr. Gabe Kuhn, the Illinois governor?
You're talking about, what's his name? Pritzker, right?
Yes.
That would be his name. J.B. Pritzker.
J.B. Pritzker. Yes, that is exactly right. He went completely bananas on average MLB salary, $4.4 million. Forbes estimates. By the way, Pritzker's, do you know what he has his estimated worth is?
I don't even want to know.
I looked this up on Forbes, $3.4 billion. But again, another millionaire fighting and telling us that how disappointed he is these players won't get out there and do this. So me and Gabe, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the NCAA. And by the way, I have got to, before I get into anything, I'm going to lay out what we got. We're going to get to the rundown. We have a very busy show, but I'm also going to tell you it's going to have a lot to do with some of the talks that we have during the rundown. But I want to say, before we get into that, there are a lot of people out there who don't understand what has happened in California today and also with the MAC. The MAC has already come out and made one of the largest decisions that I think will affect other conferences. California has come out and made huge decisions on the start of their universities and their policies and procedures and how that's going to basically be virtual classrooms, et cetera, et cetera. This spring football thing is looking real, but before I get into all the important stuff and we go down the rundown, I just wanted to tell you this. The MAC has come out because this is kind of new to a lot of people. They've come out and said that conference tournaments are eliminated in sports, including baseball, softball, and soccer, the 8 sports, and it's also the major ones. Now, this doesn't have everything to do with football yet. Men and women's basketball tournaments cut to 8 teams. It was previously 12.
No divisions either.
No divisions. Opening round conference tournament games are going to be on campus. Nope, that's been eliminated. And the basketball conference schedule has been extended to 20 games. It was previously 18 because they're not going to play outside of conference.
The MAC commissioner, John Steinbrecher, too. It's like, it's interesting enough that they made these changes, but he came out and said this is literally because of their financials.
Yep.
They said that they might. The only bright spot in this is they will reevaluate once the financial situation changes.
2021.
But this is a serious step, and the MAC is not alone in having financial issues. These smaller conferences, the Sun Belt, Conference USA, I wouldn't be surprised if we see more changes like this.
And just to go on, and the last but not least, the reason I wanted to bring up the MAC, because it does go to the California State University system, and I want to remind you this. They have come out and said again, all classes through the fall will be virtual. Nobody will meet on campuses. And guess what? San Diego State, Fresno State, San Jose State, basically, they're a part of a 23-school system inside of California. And if there is no students on campus, I'm just curious, how you going to get kids to play football in the fall if you can't have a class and say that you're safely going to be able to do this? So
not to mention
L.A. County.
L.A. County has extended their stay-at-home order through September as well. So what does that mean for Cal? What does that mean for – well, actually, Cal, I don't know. I don't believe is in L.A. County. But USC, UCLA, what does that mean for those schools in the Pac-12? Big schools in the Pac-12.
Big ones. By the way, it's going to affect Alabama, who's supposed to play USC. But you know what? I think I might be getting too far ahead. I think it's almost time for us to do one of my favorite things in the whole wide world, and that is, before I go to the rundown, let's tell you, we have Sherry May. We have, that's right, R.J. Anderson and Keith Farnsworth, because we are booked, we are locked, we are loaded, but it is time for the rundown.
Lot of interesting developments last night, especially when you look at the college football season. But I want to start here. Obviously, you just mentioned it, the California State University system. So this is the state schools in the state of California said they plan to cancel all in-person classes for the fall and to continue instruction online. There will be some limited exceptions for in-person classroom activities that cannot be delivered virtually. But when there's not students in class, in person, Mark Emmert has said he does not want schools to play sports. So this seems to bring into question the football season in the Mountain West, certainly the Pac-12, and a lot of people think that's the only conferences that will be affected by this. Do you think any other states may follow California by allowing or making their university system all online for the fall?
You know, that's an interesting thing. I don't see it right now. I still think it's going to be a wait-and-see play, especially for the southern states and a lot of the states in the Midwest and Texas.
I look at New York as a
right, like they want to get back to work. They want to get things normal. Now, if COVID comes back and a month from now we got 10,000 new cases a day, guess what? It's going to shut down, and we're going to be forced to by the government. But I can tell you right now, until maybe the federal government or some of the governors in the South actually see an overrun like New York did, where their hospitals are just getting bombarded with coronavirus cases, they are also looking at places like, I'd have to say, Venice, which I had no idea that less than 50,000 people lived in Venice, but 10 million people were in Venice a day. I mean, they depended on tourism like nobody else. So again, a lot of these governors, especially in the South, are saying, hey, the coronavirus was projected to be this many losses of life. It looks like y'all overprojected. And I feel like a lot of the governments are going to open up, let summer go. So, basically, it's going to be a live human experiment in the South. If the summer we survive, football will be back. If we don't, we all messed up.
I certainly wonder, right? You look at the state of New York, leads the United States in coronavirus cases and deaths. They haven't even shut down through September. I don't think you need to make a final call, although the state of California, the university system decided to. I wonder about some of those
a lot of that's
cities.
Political too, though.
I wonder about some of those cities and some of those states in the upper Northeast, right? Big cities, a lot of people on top of each other, what they will do with their states. But I am very curious. I don't think this will be the last one we see. I do not think. I think there's people probably in Oregon, Washington who might do the same thing, a lot from that part of the country. But then I look at the upper Northeast and I wonder as well. Now, one
thing before you do this, I did want to say though, also, UT President Randy Boys, he's one of the guys who's come out there and said there's a whole lot of data to go through, but I mean, this is the president of UT. UT, have you seen Neyland Stadium? It holds a pretty large crowd, right? He's basically come out and said, and I'm not going to put words in his mouth, but I'm going to shorten it. President Mark Emmert, by the way, you already mentioned this. He basically came out and said, I do not have the cojones to make any major decisions unless it's on a small kid's life, and I can only ruin one family. But I'm not going to ruin every family at once. I'm going to actually pass the buck along, even though I'm the president of the NCAA, because that's so Mark Emmert style. But when you have SEC commissioners like Greg Sankey, you have presidents of universities over at UT, like President Boyd, when you have people coming out and say that they're looking at the data and they're looking at the ages of the people and all these decisions, and they then come to this conclusion, from where we stand right now, the physical and mental risk almost looks as equal or greater than actually coming back and playing football to some of our students and our way of life. Now, I'm just going to say again, he's looking, and what I'm talking about is they're looking at, people who can't pay for food, mental health, young people whose lives are completely being changed, who had houses are now losing houses. They're looking at everything from income. And basically, a lot of these people are coming out and saying that as of now, we don't have enough information. But from where I sit and what I see, college football will be going forward in the fall. And I find that fascinating coming from people like President Boyd and, of course, Commissioner Greg
And
Sankey.
especially in this part of the world. I think it absolutely will go forward regardless with fans or not. Now, along with that, there were rumors last night. USC, obviously, in L.A. County, UCLA, Cal, Stanford, all being affected by the California State University system's plans, right? And it came into question, USC versus Alabama. A lot of people, I think Colin Cowherd definitely came out and said it's likely not happening. Alabama's looking into a TCU game instead of USC because they don't know if they're going to be able to play it. And I wonder, these schools in LA County and in California, if they're going to have trouble practicing and playing in-state in general with the state restrictions. I want to know, how close do you think we are to an all Pac-12 spring football season?
I think we're closer than people actually even understand. I don't even think you understand. Alabama is talking to TCU, right?
They have been.
Like, they're literally talking to TCU about replacing the USC game. It looks to me like Alabama's already moving on. People out on the West Coast don't know how to move on except for in the MAC, and they've moved on and basically said, we are the MAC, and that is all we are. And we are going to play MAC sports, and we are going to be MAC people. But the Southeastern Conference, et cetera, I think the ACC, I still think the American, I think they're actually like, hey, we're going to sit and wait, see how things happen. But Alabama is already trying to replace USC with TCU, folks. I think we are so close to a fall football season in the South and realistically a spring football season next year for the Pac-12. I don't think y'all understand. It's not just something that I think that is really on the table of talks. I think it unequivocally is going to happen because Oregon has already said that they won't let people in their stadiums. California has already made decisions. The WAC, and they've already made decisions. I mean, you have already people who have made tons of decisions, while you also have people in the South who are saying, we're going to play in the fall, damn it.
And also take the hints. Clay Helton the other day has said they have had serious talks with Pac-12 leaders, commissioners, everything like that about having an 11-team schedule with all Pac-12 opponents. So if you put 2 and 2 together, this might be way, way, way closer than we all could have imagined in the beginning.
Yeah,
now,
it's going to be wild.
Did you see this whole Draymond Green, Shaq sort of beef back and forth? Did you get a look at it?
Oh, I did, and I actually, you'll probably disagree, but it's kind of just go back and look at Jared Payton, his Instagram, and do me a favor. And just look at it where they show Michael Jordan a picture of LeBron James sitting around actually talking like he did something. Oh, man, once I did that, I knew I did something great. I beat one of the greatest teams of all time. Hold on, I would like to remind you of the team. Steph Curry, Harrison Barnes, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Andrew Bogut. Yeah, that was one of the greatest teams of all time. My butt.
Let's hold up a tad bit now.
Tell me where there was one guy that's in the top 10 on that list.
Let's hold up here.
Not one.
Let's hold up here. So Draymond Green said Steph Curry and him would have destroyed Shaquille O'Neal, in the pick and roll. Shaq's response was, I like Draymond. I like guys that voice their opinion. I try not to get personal with guys. I like him. I like the way he plays. You have to listen to his points. He made good key points. He said in their era, they would handle us. He didn't say in my era. In my area, the Warriors would have been a 6 or 7 seed. You had us, you had San Antonio, the Jazz, Portland, you had White Chocolate and C-Web in Sacramento. But again, it's his opinion. I try not to get personal with people's opinions. However, Mr. Draymond, like you said, I would have torn your ass up on that block. He also went on to say the Warriors wouldn't even be a factor in his day. We try to cross eras all the time, and I think the MJ documentary has brought that about even more. But do you think there's validity to Shaq's comments? Do you think the Warriors are a product of the era they played and are playing in right now?
Absolutely. I want to ask you a question. Do you think Steph Curry, Harrison Barnes, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, or Andrew Bogut realistically could have ever gone up there and beaten any Michael Jordan team or any of the Sean Kemps, Gary Payton, the Gloves? If you want to go back and talk about the Cleveland teams, the Piston teams, realistically, because Steph could light it up from outside, and you had Miami dissolve and San Antonio, Timmy was getting old, and you got this Cleveland team, and the East was so damn weak. I mean, literally, there was only one team in the East, and it was whatever team LeBron played on. He had his own thing in the finals because there wasn't a team in the East that was worth a darn that he had to play before he got to the finals. But yet he's only won 3? He's lost, do you know how many games? I mean, Michael Jordan, he was in 3 Game 7s in his life and never won in the finals. But yet people want to sit there and try to hold that against him. Well, the team that won the finals was, the Rockets when he wasn't playing. Well, that next year he played Seattle, who won 64 games in the regular season, and they beat the Rockets on the way to the finals, who were the defending champs with Olajuwon. They beat the Jazz right before they went 2 years in a row and took it on. And MJ handled these guys, went up 3-0, and basically said, hey, I want to win in Game 6 on Father's Day. I mean, it was like the dude is such a winner and such a champ that it's like talking about other players is one thing. But then also bringing in Shaq, I hate to say this, Shaq and Mike are in that same era. Kobe Bryant in that same era. And what I mean is they will cut your throat to beat you. I think LeBron James' biggest comparison is that he was closest to Magic, and we make that mistake of doing the Michael Jordan, LeBron James argument. But when we talk about the past and today, we have to admit that you can't blow on a guy, and they are allowed to shoot from wherever they want to in the pick and roll, and the game has changed, and it has opened up for a lot smaller of a player. The big guys don't dominate the way they used to. But again, if you're going to tell me that Draymond Green ever in my lifetime is half the player Shaquille O'Neal is, then I'm never going to talk basketball again.
Now, I want to know via text line 67129, do you think the Warriors, that some call a dynasty, is a product of the era they played in? I want to know 67129. But I look at this,
Those
and
Kevin
I
Durant teams
if you put
added
KD
Kevin
in there,
Durant-
that's what I was going to ask.
No.
KD
Those
changes
KD
the
team
conversation.
Changes the conversation because when you have Steph and you take out Harrison Barnes and you put, in all honesty, KD is a top 15 player of all damn time. Offensively, in any era, this dude was going to be able to score. But when you take off KD and put in Harrison Barnes and Klay Thompson is the second fiddle and Draymond Green is third, I'm sorry. Shaq Kobe's team, Mike's team, Elijah Wan's team, Pistons team, Magic's team, Celtics team, this supposed great team that Golden State was, every single one of those other great teams would have basically pimp-slapped them, especially the Bulls.
I think it's interesting because you look at that Warriors team as a good defensive team, best three-point shooting team of all time, two of arguably the best three-point shooters of all time. On that team, you add KD, three of the best three-point shooters of all time. I think they're a very, very good team. I don't know how the era played into it. I think the era, the style of play.
I think if they wanted to play in this era, Shaq and Kobe, they could have played in this era. Kobe would have shot the threes. They could have picked up a three-point shooter. They had Big Shot Rob back then. What I'm just saying is, who was going to stop Shaq?
I think the style
Nobody.
of play. I think the style of play that the Warriors are played is completely different. And I wonder if those teams could come to today and play that style of play that they played in the 90s and early 2000s and beat the Warriors. I really do wonder that. I don't think they really could because the Warriors just do too many things well defensively and shoot the ball way, way, way too well for people to keep up. Three's better than two.
I hear what you say on that, but do you
New
think
age
they would have
analytics.
do you think physically they would have been able to get through this series? I mean,
well,
Steph Curry
I think
can't stay healthy,
and this goes back to fouling, and I think those teams
that's why
that came
so
to
much
this
more
era would
physically
definitely
strength.
foul a lot more. But back in the day, I don't know. I think it'd be a definite tough matchup. It'd be a tough matchup. It'd be an interesting.
They
one.
wouldn't have made it. They wouldn't have made it.
So you think they would have been a non-factor? In
I
those
think
days?
unequivocally in those days they would have not even been able to play. They would have been smoked. I'm sorry, you can't play a game where you have a bunch of little bitty dudes when most teams had 3 7-footers on the court. Realistically, I mean, go back and look at. I mean, you had Grandmama and Alonzo Mourning and Patrick Ewing. I mean, look at those Celtics teams and how big they were. I mean, Walton was like the third person. I mean, it's just, you look at the size, and there was one statement, and I can't remember, and it was even when MJ got drafted, and it was another 7-footer who basically said something like, I don't care how athletic he is, you can't come into this league at that size and dominate. But we'll see. Isaiah did great things. I'm an old person, so I'm always going to go old. But I love you arguing at 67129. Please bring your points. Disagree with me, agree with me, whatever you want to do. 67129. That's 67129. Me and Gator are rapping. We're all having just a lot of fun. I love talking about the old things. And one reason we are talking about it is not just because of The Last Dance, but because ESPN dropped their top 10 today. Did you see the top 10, by the way?
I sure did.
Did you see who, which I feel like the list is wrong in this aspect. And again, a lot of people want to beat me for this. I think LeBron James, and when I say this, it's going to make people mad, is the most overrated player on planet Earth. Period.
I disagree
Everybody
so
says,
wholeheartedly.
Well, okay,
but
they say he's the most,
but
time out. Just let me finish. I want to say the reason he's the most overrated player on planet Earth, he's never close. He's not even, he can't hold Michael Jordan's competitive nature. Michael Jordan never lost in a Game 7 in a championship. How many times has LeBron lost? Many a times. What I'm trying to say is they are different people. But then they want to talk about, oh, he's the most physical guy. Where'd you ever see a guy this physical? What are you talking about? Magic Johnson was as big, if not bigger, and more physical and played both positions. He wasn't Shaquille O'Neal, so he's not the most physically dominant player of all time. Or Wilt Chamberlain. He doesn't shoot as Steph Curry. He doesn't have the rings of Michael Jordan or, heck, my man for the Celtics, I can't even believe my brain's not even
Bill
working.
Russell.
Bill Russell, the greatest winner of all time. I'm just saying there are so many other players. Like Kevin Durant in this era is just as good as LeBron James. It's just He went about it weakly, and everybody pushes him to the side because of the ankle injury and the fact that he left OKC and joined a 72-win team in the Warriors, and that makes him look weak. But we overrate LeBron, and to try to compare him to say he's better than Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic Johnson, or Wilt Chamberlain is a disservice to basketball because he's not better than three, period. Whatever you do, 67129, hit me up. Coming up next, Keith Farnsworth. We talking baseball. But hit me up with all your stuff. Sports 56, 96.1, 87.7 FM.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ. Listen to us daily on AM 560, 96.1 FM, or 87.7 FM.
Blood and plasma donations are more important than ever. People all around the world still depend on the medicine your plasma helps make. That's why Interstate Blood Bank and Plasma Biological Services are open and will remain open for our donors. The United States government has declared blood and plasma donation as a critical infrastructure industry. That means healthy donors are allowed to travel to and from donation centers regardless of any stay-at-home mandates in your area. We need you to keep donating so that we can continue to manufacture these life-saving medicines. We understand that you may be concerned about COVID-19. The health and safety of our donors and our employees remain a top priority. To limit the spread of the virus, we're taking additional measures to ensure our centers are safe and clean. Donating now is more important than ever, but please do not come to the center to donate if you are not feeling well or have a sore throat, fever, cough, or shortness of breath. We are doing our part so that you can do yours. Come donate today at one of our IBBI or PBS locations across the Memphis area.
You have to be up in 5 hours, 2 hours, 6 minutes. And when you hear, you realize that you haven't slept a wink. That's why there's ZzzQuil Pure Z's, a drug-free blend of botanicals with an optimal dose of melatonin so you can fall asleep naturally with no next-day grogginess. It's available in both liquid and gummies, tastes great, and is non-habit forming. Pick up ZzzQuil Pure Z's from the sleep experts at Vicks ZzzQuil. ZzzQuil Pure Z's, naturally superior sleep. Available at retailers near you.
Family Leisure's here to make staying at home more enjoyable for you and your family this summer. Complete pool packages starting at $15.99. 24-foot pools only $19.99. 4-person spas starting at $19.99. Swim spas starting at under $10,000. We are offering contactless purchasing, deliveries, and curbside pickup. Give us a call to schedule an appointment or to place an order. Stay safe with Family Leisure.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129.
The landscape is so beautiful at Town Village Audubon Park. Nestled in the heart of East Memphis, located corner of Park and Cherry, is a beautiful residential neighborhood. Looking for a great place to retire, but you still have a very active lifestyle? Then visit Town Village. Only requirements that you're 55 plus. Prices per month starting at $24.50. The Gourmet Chef welcomes you to visit our restaurant and bistro. Package includes 3 complimentary meals per day, maid service, free local transportation, monthly coffee club, theme dinner parties, lots of fun. Visit us and call Daniel or Bo at Town Village Audubon Park at 901-374-7342. There's no place like home. Town Village Audubon Park.
Welcome back to Sports 56 Happy Hour with Johnny Radio. This hour is brought to you by MemphisFarmers.com. Insurance coverage backed by a local agent and a brand trusted nationwide. We are farmers. MemphisFarmers.com.
Well, show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why. Show me the way to the next whiskey bar. Oh, don't ask why. Oh, don't ask why.
For if we don't find the next whiskey bar. I tell you, a lot of people are going to die because they're going crazy. They're freaking out because I said LeBron James is the most overrated person in professional sports, history. Reason I say this is because he doesn't have the champions of Bill Russell or Magic, or he doesn't have, or I'm sorry, Mike, or, there's so many players. But yet, without Ray Allen, he doesn't have one. Do you see Michael Jordan losing to Dirk Nowitzki's Dallas team? Nope. Do you see them losing to San Antonio the way they did? Nope. Ray Allen has saved his keister I don't know how many times. And without Draymond Green going cup check crazy, they lose to Steph Curry, Harrison Barnes, Klay Thompson, Draymond Green, and Andrew Bogut. Like, I'm sorry, that would be one title. And you want to sit there and say, oh, revisionist history. Yeah, Mike never got to a Game 7, and he won 6 titles. And that's why he's Mike, and he was a killer. And that's why I think Kobe is better than LeBron. And again, the reason I say he's overrated, not because he's not great, but because people try to say that he is so much better than people in this era that he is like Michael Jordan. Well, he's not. You have better champions in these eras. I'm sorry. And Kevin Durant it might be a better scorer. Steph's a better shooter. They don't have the physicality. Shaq is more physical than LeBron James. Wilt Chamberlain was more physical than LeBron James. Magic Johnson is the closest thing you compare LeBron to, and I think Magic was better. He was a better passer, could play center, did all the things like LeBron, but he was just a better winner and had HIV cut his career short. Do I think LeBron James is a top 10 player? Absolutely. All I'm trying to say is, it's 67129. Keep it coming, and we'll have these conversations. ESPN, they put out their top 10. MJ was number 1. LeBron James was number 2, and that was the only issue that I had was LeBron James was ahead of some of the guys that I definitely just don't think that it's right. I'm sorry, the big fundamental, Tim Duncan, I'd have him just ahead of him, but they have him 6 spots ahead of, Tim Duncan. They have him way ahead of Wilt Chamberlain. They have him way ahead of Magic Johnson. Well, not way ahead, but Bill Russell, one of the greatest champs of all time. And then Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. Dude, again, how can LeBron James be the second best player in the history when he's not the best Laker? Because I think that's Kareem and Magic. That's just what I'm going to argue about. But I want y'all to hit me up at 67129 because we switching this up. It is time to talk my buddy Keith Farnsworth. And I promise you, this is the league that has a lot of pressure and no more pressure than anybody in the history of sports than the players right now that are looking at the proposal by the owners. Keith, I have a first question before I welcome you in. Well, actually, let me welcome you in, dude. How's life, brother?
No, we're doing good, man. I think we're doing pretty good, all things considered.
Well, I got to know something. How bad do you think right now that everybody is trying to make, like the owners? Do you feel like with their proposal, and do you feel like with so many of the public who don't have time to actually delve into these collective bargaining agreements and understand realistically about the MLPA and et cetera, and what they've already taken and agreed to in March, and now you're asking them to take more of a haircut? Owners have been trying to sneak this in for years. I feel like this is not worthy. We've already had one governor come out there. I'm wondering, Keith, I want to know, does Rob Manfred, do we have baseball and we have a commissioner over an 82-game season with a universal DH, or does this get thrown back into the owner's face and this turn into a money fight?
Well, anytime you have big money like this, you have big complications. And so you're going to have people on both sides arguing, what is in their best interest. But if you're baseball and you have every eye on you imaginable right now and what you're going to do in this situation, you can't mess this up. You only get one opportunity. And if you don't play baseball this year based on finances and finances alone, you are going to lose so many fans that you could have captured in this moment. I do think they figure it out, but it is a little bit of disheartening that they haven't already figured it out and that the owners are using this as additional leverage.
Do you think that there's any way, in all honesty, like the 1998, was it 1981? You had the 85. Go back into the 90s. We had the 90 and then 94, 95 baseball strike, which I thought was going to be a disaster. Canceled the entire 94 postseason, including the World Series. That's the one where Pedro was just in fuego. And after that, it took literally dudes doing steroids and hitting bombs for this to come back. Could this be worse than the 94 baseball strike? Could this be the worst of all?
100%. I think you still have generations of fans that haven't come all the way back to baseball from those experiences.
Mm-hmm.
And I think this could be a tipping point for some people that have started to buy back in. So I don't think you have enough leverage. I don't think you can afford to mess this up if you are baseball. You have to play a season, whether it's shortened 82 games or not. You have to figure this out. You can't let finances be the reason for those guys not to play ball.
Now, I hope everybody out there at least knows this is Keith Farnsworth. You can follow him on Twitter. It's at @fantasy_Keith. My man is with Fangraphs, Fantrax, Baseball Pro. He's out in Arizona. And if you are a baseball fan, I promise you, just go to @fantasy. He's like me, an underscore guy. So @fantasy_Keith. No caps. Easy as heck to follow. I tweeted it out. Check him out now. I promise you, you'll look at his Twitter like, my man Dietrich looked at his home run that time when you posted that bad boy up. But you'll love his account, and he always has great stuff coming out. But, as much as we talk about fantasy, my fantasy league this year, it looks like, is even if baseball comes back and plays 82, we don't know what to do. I've talked to a lot of guys out there. Are you hearing that if they have, a little shortened 82 league, that are they going to open up some of these fantasy sites?
I think 100%. I can't imagine why you wouldn't. I know in some of the leagues that I'm playing in, we're going to kind of play it by ear. And and I know you play in keeper leagues. I play in keeper leagues.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna adjust and make some considerations based on the shortened season as far as increases and other things. But this may actually change the way you approach certain players. Maybe those players that do tend to be injured. Maybe you take a shot on those guys, and maybe they do stay healthy for a shortened season. Maybe there's younger players that get more opportunities and more at-bats because of this shortened season. So I think there's definitely angles that you can play to get some advantages.
The weird question is I wanted to also ask you if somehow I almost have to kind of finish this before I get into it, but if somehow the owners stop doing things like I thought it was such a disservice for them to go out there and put out the revenue that the owners were going to lose this year, and put these numbers out there, and it makes it look so, oh my goodness, look how difficult it is for the owners. They're going to lose $3 billion in revenue if they go to an 82 game schedule and don't have fans. You know what I'm saying? It's like these are owners who last year put $275 million in profit in their pockets. So I guess I just don't feel so sorry when I see these numbers. But again, we just think about these players and the average MLB salary being at $4.4 million a year. It is a kid's game. So for some reason, why is it that we always go back to the player, that they're the ones who have to keep the game going?
100%. Now think about this for a second. The average, I think I heard this the other day, the average MLB career is a little over 4 years.
Correct.
If you're one of those players, you can't afford to lose an entire season.
Nope.
You're going to go into free agency potential for those free agents, a completely disastrous free agent market. The owners aren't going to be looking to spend. If you're an owner, some of these franchises have gone up 70 times the original value when they purchase a franchise. 70 times. And yes, they can, most of these can afford to withstand some type of shortened season. If the entire season is canceled, that's obviously going to be an impact. But think about you and I. Think about everybody that's listening right now. When you guys go back to work, for the most case, these businesses are not expecting the workers to take a extremely reduced salary to continue business. And that's what the owners are expecting the players to do right now, is to take a reduced salary and to continue to make the same money on those same games. Television markets are looking for live content. You would think there would be an opportunity there if games are played to capture on additional advertising and revenue streams that way. I just can't imagine the players taking a much deeper cut than they already have.
I'm actually surprised that they agreed to take what they did in March, and then I can't believe that the owners had the audacity to come back and ask them to take another haircut, and then just to make it sound so pretty to the average person. hey, fans, we're just asking the players to do a 50-50 cut with us. I mean, do you see what I mean? That is so disingenuous and so BS from the owners. Like, I'm just thinking to myself, man, you are just pulling one over on the average fan's eye. It is not fair. But I got to ask you this. I'm going to ask you a couple players that possibly, if fantasy does come out, that like you would definitely grab. But most of all, I want to ask you is, who is somebody that you might avoid like the plague that you could see come out this year, might not have it all there together, somebody that you might avoid. But first, I want to ask you about my top 10 because you saw ESPN. They put out their top 10, and I wanted to ask you this. I have Babe 1, Ted Williams 2, Willie Mays 3, Lou Gehrig 4, Josh Gibson 5, Hank Aaron 6. I moved Barry Bonds up to 7. Mantle 8. I moved Mike Trout up to 9 and Joe DiMaggio down to 10. What do you think? It took me like 4 days to agree with this.
I think it would take me the same amount of time to probably dispute any of those. The first thing that stuck out in my mind is why is Mickey so low? Like, you had Mickey at like 8, right?
I had him at 8. Yes, I did, behind Bonds and Hank Aaron and Gehrig and Mays and Williams and Babe, and it was so hard. And one of the reasons I had the Mick so low is when I was just kind of like looking at the numbers, and he's the greatest switch hitter of all time. It's just like I do feel like some of those years, those numbers were helped out by the teams that he played. But he could have been higher on that list if he knew how to put down the bottle every once in a while. And I know it sounds crazy to have Babe at the very top when he's the ultimate partier, but dude hit more home runs than most deadgum leagues back then.
Yep, you're right.
It is kind of hard to have Mickey that far, isn't it?
That's
Heck, I had to drop Joe DiMaggio
to
10, dude. And he has the 56-game hit streak. And that was hard, but he had, I think, his 3 best years taken away from the war.
All right, so to answer your other question, right, who is somebody who I'm avoiding
Who are we
this
avoiding
year?
like the plague?
All right, so maybe not like the plague, but I'm avoiding players like Jorge Soler.
Whoa.
Right, so Soler had a monster breakout season, right?
Yeah.
An incredible season, but when I look at hitters, I want to look at the complete package. I want them to have enough contact, enough power, enough vision to be able to withstand in other areas, right? So if they fall off somewhere, they have enough in another area to make up for it. And so for him, he's got the power for days. He's got power for days, but I don't know if I trust his approach enough to stick it together. He's going to be streaky, right? And in an 80-game season, if the first 30 or 40 games are the bad part of that
that's
streak,
a bad streak.
you may not make it up. So take a look at these streaky players, and I may avoid them a little more than the consistent guys, because if you get off to the wrong stretch, man, that could be a really just lost 80-game season.
And, like, can we be real? On the back of his card, last year might be the only time we ever see him sniff 50 home runs in a season, right?
Yeah, the list of players that have repeated a 50 home run season, are on that list that you just mentioned, right? Some of the greatest of all time.
Times, yeah.
As much as I like Jorge Soler, he doesn't come anywhere close to that list, or even one of the best hitters in baseball. He's not one of the best hitters in baseball, and so for somebody who I'm personally avoiding, he's one guy on my list that I wouldn't be heavily invested in.
One guy that I'm hearing a lot of people talk about is Pete Alonso. What is it? Just because he had such an unbelievable rookie campaign somewhere. Some people out there think it was out of nowhere. I disagree because he was the guy that I was big on. But I had a lot of people saying that Pete Alonso's ranked way too high. Is he just ranked too high for this year after what he came off of last year? Or is he literally going to have a huge drop?
No, I think he's being ranked based on his best case scenario, which is his last season. We have this recency bias that we love. We love to look at best case scenario, and I think, it's not that I don't like Pete Alonso, it's that I don't like him where he's being drafted. And so we're looking and expecting him to repeat close to those numbers, and I just don't know if that's realistic for any player, much less a player that's briefly been in the league. He's going to get the best pitch, best approach from every pitcher in baseball this year.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to want to be on the other end of that bat flip, or whatever it is that he did in last year.
Last but not least, do you ever see the Korean bat flip that we've been seeing in the KB? What is it? KBO? Korean baseball organization. Like, are we ever going to see dudes like that over here enjoying bat flips like we've been watching there?
100%. It's going to take some, years and years. You've seen a little bit more activity from the players. You see Bryce Harper and other guys being a little more animated. Tim Anderson is a guy that comes to mind. But I think you're going to see more and more of that in baseball. I think this next generation kind of expects it, right? The pitchers especially, you can't do that to some of the pitchers of old. I mean, Smoltz, Glavine, the Randy Johnson would have clipped your chin for doing something like that. But I think as it becomes more and more of a normal thing, you'll see players taking more and more liberties with flips and some of the fun stuff.
Yeah, the pitchers are going to kind of chill out a little bit too. Now, whatever you do, though, everybody follow Keith at @fantasy_Keith. Let's do it again as soon as we can, and be safe out in Arizona, and I hope to come see you soon, brother.
All right, man. Have a good one. Thanks, Johnny.
That's my buddy Keith Farnsworth. Check him out, and whatever you do, don't touch that dial. Coming up next, we got, live at the Garden, Sherry May has some info. This is Sports 56, 96.1, 87.7 FM.
Start your day with Sports 56 Mornings with Peter Edmiston and CJ Hertz. Right here on Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 FM.
I'm John Conway with Conway Services. Do you have to add Freon to your air conditioner every summer? Good news, it's Super Tune-Up time at Conway Services. We'll come out and perform our exclusive 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up on your air conditioning system for only $69 with a Freon leak check. That's right, Conway Services exclusive 16-point Energy Saver Super Tune-Up for only $69 with a Freon leak check. We'll remove years of dirt, grime, and leaves from your air conditioning system. It's like taking your air conditioner to a car wash, all for only $69. If you have an air conditioner that leaks Freon every year, with Conway Services Super Tune-Up, we'll include a leak check at no charge. If that's not enough, we'll treat your unit with a special Teflon coating to help protect against the hot Memphis sun. So call Conway Services, the Mid-South's premier heating, cooling, plumbing, and electric service company at 384-3511. Call this week and we'll perform your Super Tune-Up for only $57.
Call 384-3511. Conway Services. Call Conway today.
Hi, folks. Bob Burkheimer for Sunrise Chevrolet. A lot has happened overnight, and just wanted to let you know we're open at Sunrise for all your automotive needs. Service, body shop, parts, and sales. Go online to sunrisememphis.com to schedule an appointment. Should you need a vehicle, we're offering 0% up to 84 months with deferred payments up to 120 days. You can shop online. We'll bring the car or truck to you. At Sunrise, we know you want to feel safe, so bring your car to any Sunrise location. We'll disinfect it at no charge. Find new roads to Sunrise Chevy in Collierville.
I'm Dr. George Flynn with an update on the skin clinics and COVID-19. We continue to be open for elective medical procedures such as Botox, Scarlet, and Agnes. And we thank you for abiding by our new safety protocols and for your patience with longer than average times for appointments. We're still having reduced appointment times for the safety of our clients and staff. At this time, after consulting with outside medical experts also and following the community guidelines, we believe it best to wait to offer aesthetic services such as brow shaping, waxing, and facials. We look forward to offering these services as soon as possible. The Skin Clinics is currently accepting names for a waiting list that we will use to fill appointment times when we can begin offering these services and these procedures. Call us at 345-7546. That's 345-SKIN to book your medical procedure or to get on the waiting list for aesthetic treatments. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing you soon.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
Welcome back to Sports 56 Happy Hour with Johnny Radio.
Kick it over here.
This hour is brought to you by MemphisFarmers.com. Insurance coverage backed by a local agent and a brand trusted nationwide. We are farmers. MemphisFarmers.com.
Thick and thin, I'm your pusher man. I'm your pusher man.
I am your push your man. And I'll tell you one thing, Sports 56 Happy Hour, it's a hump day. We are rocking and rolling, and we're having a whole lot of fun. We've talked everything from ESPN dropping their top 10 in basketball. We've had a lot of people who completely disagree with what I said about LeBron James being one of the most overrated players. And the reason I was saying that is because we compare him to MJ, when I think he's more comparable to Magic Johnson. I just think that that's a lot, realistically. Like, if people want to sit there and say, he's the most physically dominating player, look at his size, and then I just bring up Shaq or Wilt Chamberlain or Hakeem Olajuwon. Oh, well, look at his handles, blah, blah, blah. There's all kinds of different things. There's tons of different arguments. And again, when I see LeBron James, the closest thing that I see from when I grew up and watched the game is Magic Johnson. One of the texters at 67129, that 67129 is coming and says, LeBron James on the list, in my opinion, should be 10 on that ESPN one. Now, I also had one, and I think it's absolutely hilarious. Shout out to my buddy Alan. I know Gabe knows him. Friend of mine. He said, Harden, I love you, but was Lydia working at Lost today? For people that, you'll understand if you've been to Lost and know Lydia. She makes a nice drink, you could say. But no, I have not been drinking. I am 100% sober, and I'm realistically believing that as great as LeBron James is, I just think there are a few guys that you could put ahead of him, like at MJ, of course, Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson. But we'll talk about that later because we got more stuff to talk about, because right now, we're going to get joined by Sherry May. And y'all know Live at the Garden, and you know all that Live in the Garden does, and you know that they have been basically one of those places that you can go out there, watch an amazing band, have tons of fun, but everybody's sitting there going, what's going to happen? What's the future hold? What's going on at Live at the Garden? Well, guess what? I got Sherry May, director of Live at the Garden, co-director of Live at the Garden, to come on here and tell you everything that's going on and how it is that you can actually help, because we don't want to stop the music, do we, Sherry?
We do not. We got to keep it going.
So how is life treating you?
All things considered, we're hanging in there. It was pretty devastating to have to pull the plug on Live this year. We had fought it. We fought it to the very end, and we were going to go forward, move dates around more towards the fall. But when your big tours, they canceled on us, and all within like 24 hours, 3 of them canceled on us, and we just saw the writing on the wall. It's just the way everybody's going. So. So we had to do it. But we came up with this donor wall, this Can't Stop the Music campaign that we're really excited about. Just kicked it off yesterday, and it was received phenomenally well.
Oh, so we are literally in day 2 of the kickoff of this bad boy?
We are,
I love that. Oh, I'd like to be a part of the ground floor.
Well, you are, and it's going to be so great. We're building a donor wall right beside the stage, and it's going to be there forever, and it's going to be a permanent part of our history. This was what was to be our 20th anniversary, if you can believe that.
No.
So we don't really know what that's going to look like yet. We still hold out hope that we may be able to get one in this fall and celebrate our 20th, as long as the guidelines about public gatherings, we know those. We can't do anything until we know, hey, can we have 5,000-6,000 people out there? But if we can, that is our plan, to at least get one in there.
And
so,
if we can sneak one in, I can promise to all my people out there who care about the music, I will have Sherry May on ASAP. The minute she knows, she'll be on the next day to let all you people know how you can get your tickets. But I do want to remind people that, Live at the Garden, just go liveatthegarden.com/Can't Stop the Music. If you want to go ahead and help out and kind of keep what's been going on for 20 years and make sure that the COVID-19 doesn't stop something that has become basically, this is part of Memphis now. This is, I can't believe it's been 20 years. When you say that, it kind of makes me. It really does make me feel old.
Makes you feel old. What about me? Yeah, my kids were like young when we started Live at the Garden. But this is the pavers start out at like a 4x8 size. You can put anything you want on them, a company logo, a quote. I've had friends
I didn't even
together.
think about that. Hold on. So I never thought about it. I always thought about it it would be your name or your family's name.
No, you can put a quote. I've had people go, don't stop the music, best date night ever. I've had people over the last 24 hours come up with all kinds of creative stuff, and you really don't have to come up with it right now. You can go ahead and buy the paver now. We'll give you a few weeks so you can kind of think about what you want to put on there. But yeah, you can put anything on there, and that's the cool part. You can do in honor of, in memory of someone. I know a friend of mine passed away that would love Live at the Garden, so I'm going to buy one for him. And so I mean, a Father's Day present.
Oh, wow. Great thought. We just had Mother's Day. Oh, that would have been so good. You know what I just thought of, though? I want to ask you this because I do know that somebody is going to hit us up at 67129 and ask this. And before I say this, I'm asking this because I do believe y'all are a 501c3 organization, correct?
Oh, absolutely. Every penny
that's tax
made
deductible,
at Live,
right?
100% tax deductible. And every penny from Live at the Garden goes directly to the operating budget at the Memphis Botanic Garden. If there's no Memphis Botanic Garden, there is no Live at the Garden.
Oh.
So we go hand in hand. And that's why, we got to keep this going. We've got to make sure that we stay and that we come back stronger and better than ever, whether it is this fall or in 2021.
Well, I have a feeling that nobody in the Mid-South, and I know with you taking charge, Sherry, I think we're definitely going to make sure we don't stop the music here in Memphis, and the Botanical Garden is going to be just blowing up next year. And always remember, you can go out there and get these pavers. Go to liveatthegarden.com / and, of course, that's Can't Stop the Music. Very simple, liveatthegarden.com / Can't Stop the Music. There are a bunch of different pavers and different sizes. And again, this is a 501c organization, so it's all tax deductible. You can use your family name. You can put on little quotes. You can do whatever. But reach out, get in touch with Sherry, and let's make sure that we're rocking next year, right?
That's right.
Sherry, thank you so much. Have a blessed day, and we'll I hopefully talk really, really soon about maybe sneaking one in.
I hope so too, Johnny. Take care. Stay well.
You do the same. That's my friend Sherry over at Live at the Garden. She is the real deal, Holyfield. But coming up next, we've been talking music, baseball, we've been talking basketball, and now you know what we're going to talk about? A guy who's got a basketball and a baseball background, Jerry Krause. Been a big debate on Twitter ever since The Last Dance came out. People have been talking about Jerry Krause. Well, he's not around to defend himself, but I think I found a writer who's kind of defended some of the things that he's done. Actually, I should give the credit to Gabe. Gabe found him, so thank you very much to my man Gabe. But R.J. Anderson from CBS Sports, MLB writers, coming up next. We'll talk about some of the draft prospects, but the main thing we're going to talk, Jerry Krause and how his background in baseball helped him build one of the greatest basketball dynasties history has ever seen. We'll be back in 2 shakes. This is Sports 56. Never forget my boy, Chad Gallen at MemphisFarmers.com, 96.1, 87.7 FM.
Throw away the key. There's someone in my head, but it's not me.
Pros. Lowe's wants to help you keep working. That's why we're open for pro business hours 6 to 7 a.m. Monday through Saturday. You'll find the quantities you expect with dedicated pro associates and loaders to help you get what you need fast and load you up curbside. Now, more than ever, we know you need to win every single bid. You can count on Lowe's for special values on pro-trusted brands and savings when you buy in bulk. Save yourself a trip by shopping Lowe'sForPros.com, where we can ship thousands of items to your doorstep or to the job site. Lowe's is open and pro-ready.
Though we're apart these days, we're sharing more. And Geico would just like to say thanks. Thanks for sharing your dance moves. Thanks for sharing your DIY haircut fails. Now it's Geico's turn to share too, with a Geico Give Back. A 15% credit on car and motorcycle policies for current and new customers. And because Geico's committed for the long haul, the 15% credit lasts your full policy term. Visit geico.com/giveback for info and eligibility.
You already know you can listen to Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 anywhere with the Sports 56 app or at sports56whbq.com. But you can also watch live video of all of our shows on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and Periscope. Don't miss out on anything. Stay in touch with Sports 56, 96.1 and 87.7 on social media.
You can get podcasts of all our daily shows and all of our biggest interviews delivered right to your inbox just by signing up at sports56whbq.com. It's the best way to stay informed on what's going on in sports, and it's brought to you by Surfacapes Concrete Floors. Garage, restaurants, office, retail, and industrial floors, Surfacapes does them all, as well as pool decks. Call 901-888-5000 or go to surfacapes.com. Get full shows and the best interviews from Sports 56 delivered straight to your inbox. Sign up at sports56whbq.com.
Commitment, dedication, perseverance. At FedEx, our people are our strength. Even during these unprecedented times, we are delivering medical supplies, test kits, and the things you need every day. World move forward together. Strength, what we deliver by delivering. FedEx.
Is your wife asking you to stop eating junk food? Well, we have you covered at Humdingers. It's quick and it's healthy, and most important, it tastes amazing. With many choices from salmon salad to rainbow trout and grilled asparagus. Come visit us for lunch at Humdingers, 6300 Poplar Avenue. So good, Coach Penny eats with us weekly. Don't forget, Humdingers offers full-service catering for weddings, social events, or your corporate lunches. You can call 901-260-8292 to find out more.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
We are Sports 56 WHBQ Memphis, WIVG-FM Tunica Memphis, and WPG-FLP Memphis, Flynn Broadcasting Stations. Welcome to Sports 56 Happy Hour with Johnny Radio. On AM 560, 96.1 FM, and 87.7 FM. This hour of Sports 56 Happy Hour is brought to you by MemphisFarmers.com. Insurance coverage backed by a local agent and a brand trusted nationwide. We are farmers. MemphisFarmers.com.
Check it out right here. Ladies and gentlemen. And now?
Now, the only man to give death a near Johnny experience. Johnny Harden.
Yo, 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 welcome back into a little Sports 56 Happy Hour. You know who I am. I'm John Harden, your buddy Johnny_radio on Twitter. And you know Gabe Kuhn at G_Kuhn 71. And I'm fired up because we're going to talk about a little of this, a little bit of that, and a whole lot of everything. Because my man RJ Anderson, he's going to join us right now. And he's written a lot, by the way. CBSSports.com, MLB writer. Check him out. But he dropped, he's doing everything from, the MLB draft. And I'm not going to lie because I know everybody and their grandmother is like NFL draft. You crazy. NBA draft in these parts. This is Hoop City. Everybody's talking about where's Wiseman? What about Precious? All kinds of talk. MLB baseball, not as much, but you'll be surprised how many local, from Arkansas to Ole Miss to some high school players, some guys who can really stroke the ball who could be picked in this draft. But before I want to talk about that, I want to talk to RJ about what's going to happen with baseball, how the owners are making them look ugly, and then I cannot wait. One of my favorite articles that I've read, and it all had to do with basically a man who can defend himself, but he's been basically made to look like a big-time villain. That is Jerry Krause. He was a pro scout in baseball, and my man R.J. Anderson wrote a great article about how he was developed in baseball to help build that dynasty, and I'm going to ask RJ about his article and a whole lot of other things. It is baseball heavy. Hit us up at 67129 on the text lines. Anytime you have a question for RJ or myself, I'll get to it. But let me welcome in RJ now. RJ, how's life?
It's going pretty well, all things considered. How about yourself?
Man, all things considered, you know what? I can't really complain. I'm able to still do my job. I got you on the phone. I've been reading some really interesting articles. And I do have to admit, at least for our business, we don't have sports to actually talk about. But dadgummit, we got a lot to talk and write about, don't we?
Oh, absolutely. I feel like I'm busier now than I would be if the season were going on.
It's a good point, RJ. It really is. Now, as much as I would love to be watching baseball and have baseball going on, and I'm going to get to Jerry Krause, before I do get to that stuff, I want to ask you how you feel right now, and I want to ask you personally, listening to, Scott Boras, Uber agent, come out and absolutely going off about this proposal the MLB has basically released. Listening to Tony Clark, Major League Baseball player, PA executive director, come out and basically say this is not the first salary cap proposal our union has received. It probably won't be the last, that the league is trying to take advantage of a global health crisis to get what they've failed to achieve in the past and to anonymously negotiate through the media for the last several days. Suggest they know exactly how this will be received. I have to say, the players who, I don't feel like are the villains in this one. The owners have done a deadgum good job controlling the narrative and basically making the players look like the bad one. I mean, you got the Illinois governor coming out and saying the average player in baseball makes $4.4 million a year, and you can't go out there and split the salary 50-50 with the owners so we get baseball. I mean, why don't they talk about the owners? Why is it always on the head of the player?
Yeah, and I would note that Illinois governor is worth billions of dollars himself, and I believe his hotel chain just cut a bunch of jobs. So, it's funny. You're right, because all of the onus is placed on the players, and we talk about, this is a time where the country needs the players, needs baseball, so why don't the players make this financial sacrifice and come back? But at the same time, the owners are the ones who are worried that they're not going to make a profit if they have to pay the players the salaries they agreed to in the first place. So, a lot of people have kind of said, the players should be patriotic. They should go out there and sacrifice for the better good of the country. Well, the owners should sacrifice, too, for the better of the country. And if that means taking a loss this year, then that means taking a loss this year. Remember, the owners are not going to be the ones out there risking their livelihood. It's going to be the players, and more importantly, it's going to be, the coaches and the front office members and, the people who tend the grounds and work the hotels and all that. Those are the ones who are really risking their livelihoods, and those are not millionaires. They're certainly not billionaires. They're normal people. So I think that the owners need to be held responsible for that. And on top of that, I mean, baseball has already used this pandemic to muscle the minor leagues, muscle amateur players. Like, don't get it twisted. Major League Baseball is absolutely using this to their advantage to get their way and then cut costs and other aspects of the business. So, you can call it a salary cap, you can call it a revenue agreement or what have you, but I understand the skepticism from the player's perspective.
And the other thing that's also frustrating, and I know you understand this, RJ, we've watched these owners, and these are 30 men who've gone out there. You can look at the John Henrys of the world. You can look at all these different guys who've gone out there, and this is just the average. The average MLB franchise is worth $1.88 billion. They have an average annual hike since 2000 of over 9%. That is nice to keep continuously going up and up and up in your worth. And their television revenues that they've split year in and year out, when you pocket $270 million, I don't see them going up there and when they profit $270 million, start to divvy up that extra money with their players now, do they? So that's why I think it's so disingenuous for these billionaires to ask these millionaires to take the pay cut.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you're right. Baseball has been a very profitable sport. It's continuously raised revenues over the last 2 decades. But when you just look at player compensation, it's actually stagnated in recent years. And the owners
I was going to say due to analytics.
Yeah, well, I think analytics is really just the shield they use. I mean, certainly, analytics, people can misuse that as a tool, just as they can misuse scouting reports or what have you. And, we can sit here and point in that direction, but it's kind of funny. It used to be that analytics was always about, this player is overpaid or what have you. And nowadays, the same people who created a lot of these metrics are kind of on the player side of the labor war. And, I would point out Craig Goldstein, the managing editor of Baseball Prospectus. And, if you're not familiar with Baseball Prospectus, it's launched the careers of, like 50 front office people, including Boston's general manager, Houston's general manager, blah, blah, blah. So it's a very much an analytical hub. And I mean, they're right there on the player's side. He's constantly tweeting and writing about how the players are getting unjust deals and all this stuff in terms of, the labor relations with the owner. So I would encourage you to check him out. And, you're right. The owners, they're very good at the public relations game, but if you're just buying them at their word, you're kind of missing out on the full story.
I think you are absolutely 100% right. Now, I got to ask you, this is so important because when, a lot of people who are at home, we're not watching live sports, but everybody and their grandmother's watching The Last Dance. And I know we're going to talk some baseball and some more baseball, but you wrote, I thought, a hell of an article about Jerry Krause and basically about, how this dude became who he was. And I thought it was such a great article. I retweeted it. Check it out again. It's at @R_J_Anderson. I retweeted the article. He released it, the 11th of May, so 2 days ago. It is a great read. But you want to kind of summarize basically what you're saying in there? Because, again, Jerry's not here to defend himself. And it seems like everybody is taking pleasure at basically bullying him and blaming him for so much. But in your article, it's interesting the way you talk about how he built the dynasty and why and what shaped his decisions.
Yeah, so basically, the untold story of Jerry Krause is that before he was ever one of the most successful NBA executives of all time, and after his career in basketball ended, he was just the baseball scout. And, he never rose very high within a baseball front office, but he really loved scouting. And, I think his presentation of The Last Dance has been pretty biased and one-sided because he's not around to defend himself. And I think that, it kind of goes back to what we were talking about with owners earlier. Two of the main sources in The Last Dance as it pertains to Jerry Krause are Michael Jordan and Jerry Reinsdorf. Well, Reinsdorf was his boss forever, not only with the Bulls, but with the White Sox. He's an owner in the NBA still. Well, so is Michael Jordan. And, you can get into the whole power plays and whatever there, but I think that Krause has gotten a little bit of a bum rap. Even with how he got his job, they just kind of dismissed it as he was a White Sox scout who asked for the job. That's not really what happened. If you go back and look at the history, Krause was asked by Reinsdorf to come in and interview for the GM job. Krause didn't ask for that job based on what we have in the archives. And on top of that, he had actually been the Bulls director of player personnel about a decade earlier. This is not someone who just, again, asked for a job. He was he'd already risen to the top position in the organization before, and I just think that there's a lot of negativity thrown his way because he can't defend himself and because he makes for an easy target. And I'm not saying that Jerry Krause was a saint or the easiest person to deal with. Certainly he had, flaws to him, as most of us do, and especially as most general managers do. But yeah, I think it's been a little unfortunate that it's so one-sided, and I think that his baseball career is pretty interesting within itself because there aren't too many executives out there who can competently work in both, baseball and basketball over the course of a 3 or 4 decade career like he could.
I have to agree with you 1,000%. I think it was interesting that you brought that up, and it's kind of like, the man's gone. He can't defend himself, and the way, I saw Mike and Scotty, and there was a point, when he says to Phil Jackson, you see, you can go 82-0 and you're not coming back, but then you also look at, he gets Tony Kukoc in the second round, and he did, put this team together. The one person I feel like Jerry Krause has been made out to be the villain, but Jerry Reinsdorf, holy cow, how can this dude skate completely free? Because shouldn't the buck stop with him?
Yeah, it should, right? He's the owner. And, Jerry Reinsdorf has a history of being very anti-labor. Let's go back to with the Chicago White Sox. He once threatened to move him to St. Petersburg, and then he gave an interview with Cigar Magazine, and I swear to you, that is the name of the publication. It's Cigar Magazine, and they asked, were you ever actually going to move the White Sox to St. Petersburg? And he said, a good negotiator just creates leverage. So basically, he's telling you he was, lying to you so you would pay for his new stadium, and that's the way the owners do. And there's just a whole lot of chicken on that bone that we can get into some other time. But yeah, I think that Reinsdorf has gotten off very light, and I think it's convenient. And I would go back to, again, he's a partner with ESPN. He's a owner of an NBA team and an MLB team. And I think that, maybe some of those relationships and, the fact that Krause isn't around to defend himself kind of led to this very one-sided narrative against Jerry Krause as, the root of all evil as it pertains to that Bulls dynasty.
Yeah, it really does. Now, I got to go back a little bit to ownership and talking about that. I talked about Jerry's Reinsdorf, but I wanted to ask you, an owner like Jim Crane, a guy who, he buys into, basically when it was on the low, paid, I think, $465 million. It's now worth $2.5 billion, almost $3 billion. He's going to make a ton of money off this. They say he's one of the top 5 most powerful people in baseball. They talk about John Henry. They talk about Mark Walter over in Los Angeles. With Jim Crane, John Henry, the fact that these two guys led the cheating scandal with the Astros in Boston, do you think that the fact that you have two of the most powerful guys in the sport, do you think that's one of the reasons they got let off so light?
Well, I don't know if that's necessarily the reason, but I do think it was an unfortunate failure on baseball's part to really provide disincentive to cheat. Because if you're a Jim Crane or a John Henry or another owner out there, you're basically looking at these situations and saying, okay, so, if I allow my franchise and my front office to cheat in this way, I might end up losing that general manager, that manager. I might end up losing a few draft picks, and I might end up losing, a $5 million fine. But then I look at my franchise value, and if I win a World Series or if I make a couple of deep postseason runs using those, that improper conduct, well, I'm going to gain hundreds of millions of dollars in franchise value. So when I go to sell the team, none of that's going to matter. The draft picks, I don't want to pay them anyway, so that's not going to make any difference to me. So yeah, I think it just sets a bad precedent for baseball, and it doesn't really do much to, disincentivize teams from cheating in the future, in my opinion.
All right, now I got to get to your last article, and I have to say I waited this till the end because I want people not to freak out. I know that the MLB draft is not some people's biggest thing in the entire world, but I brought this up because I wanted to ask you, because I was going through your article, and it just realistically, in my opinion, kind of shines another light on the Southeastern Conference. Like, damn, dude. Like, I mean, from Texas A&M, and you got Lacey, you got my man Hancock at Georgia, you got how many guys in the Southeastern Conference? I mean, Mississippi State, Tennessee, you got Crockett, you got Auburn, Tanner Burns. You got so many great pitchers out of the Southeastern Conference, basically in the top 10. And then I look through the top 25, and I look through the bats, and half the bats are also from the Southeastern Conference. Is the Southeastern Conference just on a different level, not just in football, but when it comes to playing baseball?
Yeah, I think that's fair. Vanderbilt is perhaps the best program in baseball. And, not only might they have a number 1 pick this year in Austin Martin, but next year they have arguably the number 1 and number 2 picks in Jack Leiter and Kumar Rocker. And, you mentioned some of those other programs.
Kumar Rocker, I forgot. Ooh, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, they're just very well ran, and same with the other programs down there. So, yeah, I would say the SEC and the ACC are on a level above everyone else. And, to be fair, there's this cold state bias in baseball scouting circles where, if you're from Chicago or if you're from even Pennsylvania or what have you, there's some skepticism about how well you'll translate when you go to face some of these Southeastern and Texas and whatever born pitchers who have faced a higher level of competition consistently. And, I don't know. There's certainly been enough good players from those states that you don't want to overlook or overstate this. But yeah, that's a thing in scouting circles, and it speaks in part to the quality of competition and level of play in the Southeastern Conference.
Yeah, it's just absolutely amazing when I look at it. But I do want to ask you, you mentioned the guy, and I wasn't even going to bring him up because he's not available to be drafted this year. But if he was, Kumar, this dude, he's what, 6'5", 260, throws almost 100 miles an hour. Would he be the number 1 pick this year?
I don't know if he'd be the number one pick this year because I'm not sure if he's going to be the number one pick next year either.
Ooh,
I think
wow.
He would be a top 5 pick. You know, I think that the thing with
Who do you
Kumar
think is
is
going to be number one
this year?
next year?
Next year, I think Leiter has a case just because he has a little bit of a better arsenal. You know, he has that fastball curveball combination and a slider that has improved, whereas Kumar's fastball slider needs to work on his changeup. And I also, you know, big league teams are really obsessed with the idea of projection, and Kumar has already filled out physically. There's a little concern that, you know, he's going to have to keep his body in shape because he's already so large as a relative youngster, whereas Leiter, you know, you kind of say, well, maybe he'll put on a few pounds, add a little strength or whatever. So, you know, you can't go wrong either way, right? I mean, they're both very, very good pitching prospects, but I don't know that it's necessarily going to be Kumar who goes number one next year when he's eligible.
Oh, that's fascinating because he was one of the first guys. Like I remember back in the day, people talking about him. Go up there and watch him pitch. He's a beast of a man. You know, it's like everything 6'4", 6'5", like 260, and can bring it. But anyway, baseball draft is a lot of fun, and if you're down with it, check out my man R.J. Anderson. CBS Sports, very simple. I tweeted him out. He's at R.J. Anderson on Twitter, and it's at R_J_Anderson. Bing, bang, boom. He's got all kinds of great stuff, plus an unbelievable article about the man, Jerry Krause, and the Bulls dynasty. Check him out. My man, R.J., let's do it again, brother.
Absolutely. Stay safe in the meanwhile.
You do the same. That's R.J. talking a little CBS Sports with us. We've been talking about, you know, basketball, baseball, football, a little bit about everything, but I'm going to mix in a little something else. Also life. And when life hits you upside the head, and if you don't have a Kumar rocker fastball and you're not guaranteed to get millions of dollars down the future, go ahead and call 901-406-1101. Call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses because guess what? Bing, bang, boom. I literally just sold your house. It's guaranteed to close in 5 days. So today is Wednesday. So in 5 days, so that's Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. So Monday, guess what? Bing, bang, boom, you're going to have your check. So if you want your check on Monday, make the phone ring right now, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. You call my buddy Bill at I Buy Houses, a bing, a bang, a boom. I literally just sold your house. Now, we're going to come back with Hardwood, my favorite segment in the world. I got to ask all of y'all out there, 67129, I need a little bit of help. I need y'all to help me because I'm so confused. Is it Serena Williams? Is it Gronkowski? And is it coach from Penn State, former Vanderbilt coach, or is it my man Key & Peele? Like, who's doing this game? It's called Game On. I need to learn about it. I also want to know about, basically, is Fight Island really happening, or is this thing just being talked about? There is a fight tonight, so we're going to talk a little UFC stuff. We're going to talk about all kinds of crazy stuff. So if I were you, I wouldn't look at the dial. I wouldn't even think about touching it. But always remember, if you are going to touch something, go to MemphisFarmers.com and check out my man Chad Gatlin. This is Sports 56, 96.1, 87.7 FM.
Broadcasting from the Family Leisure Studio, we are Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Commitment, dedication, perseverance. At FedEx, our people are our strength. Even during these unprecedented times, we are delivering medical supplies, test kits, and the things you need every day. Helping the world move forward together. Strength, what we deliver by delivering. FedEx.
Right now, it feels like the world's standing still. But if you look to the land, it's a whole different story. From farms to backyards, wheels are turning, seeds are being planted, animals are getting fed, grass is growing, and families are giving their all to the soil. Because no matter how uncertain things get, the land never stops. So to all those linked to the land, John Deere says thank you. We're here for you because we all run together. Nothing runs like a deer.
Golfers, it's time to tee it up and get back to playing the game we all love. Edwin Watts Golf Shop is now fully reopened to serve all your golfing needs. Our team has taken precautions to ensure your shopping safety when you visit our stores. Come in today and get the best deals on clubs, bags, balls, apparel, and more. And at Edwin Watts, we offer free custom club fitting, club repair, and trade-ins. Now, let's get out there and play some golf. Edwin Watts Golf Shop, home of the 90-day, 100% satisfaction guarantee.
Blood and plasma donations are more important than ever. People all around the world still depend on the medicine your plasma helps make. That's why Interstate Blood Bank and Plasma Biological Services are open and will remain open for our donors. The United States government has declared blood and plasma donation as a critical infrastructure industry. That means healthy donors are allowed to travel to and from donation centers regardless of any stay-at-home mandates in your area. We need you to keep donating so that we can continue to manufacture these life-saving medicines. We understand that you may be concerned about COVID-19. The health and safety of our donors and our employees remain a top priority. To limit the spread of the virus, we're taking additional measures to ensure our centers are safe and clean. Donating now is more important than ever, but please do not come to the center to donate if you are not feeling well or have a sore throat, fever, cough, or shortness of breath. We are doing our part so that you can do yours. Come donate today at one of our IBBI or PBS locations across the Memphis area.
Got something you want to get off your chest?
You better have a backup plan.
Want to join the conversation?
Someone needs to tell him he has to grow up.
Join us on the First Bank phone lines at 360-8255 or the First Bank text line at 67129.
I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses. I Buy Houses will buy a house in any area, in any condition, and yes, it's guaranteed to close in 5 days. If you need to sell your home quickly, call 901-406-1101. If you've been through a divorce, if you lost your job, if you're tired of renters, I Buy Houses can get you your money quickly. I Buy Houses will buy your home in Shelby County, DeSoto County, Memphis, Bartlett, South Haven, Horn Lake, Olive Branch, anywhere and everywhere in between in any condition. And yes, they're open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I Buy Houses, 901-406-1101. That's 901-406-1101. Grab that pen, 901-406-1101. I Buy Houses.
Welcome back to Sports 56 Happy Hour with Johnny Radio.
Kick it over here.
This hour is brought to you by MemphisFarmers.com. Insurance coverage backed by a local agent and a brand trusted nationwide. We are farmers. MemphisFarmers.com.
Thick and thin, I'm your pusher man. I'm your pusher man.
I'm your pusher man. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And let me tell you something. We got conflicting reports. I will tell you one thing. They got the wrong picture because either I'm on drugs or Venus looks like Serena now. Because I know the difference, but one of them says Serena and has a picture of Venus, and the other one says Venus and has a picture of Serena. I think they need to fix that one. Come on, homie. Get that stuff straight.
What reports? Where are they from?
This is from...
I'll send it a complaint if you want
Send
me
in a
to.
complaint. I don't know. It was a cheap... I just changed it. Damn it. Why did I do that? But it did have Keegan Michael Key. That's the only reason I knew his actual name. Because I keep calling the... James Franklin. I call him Key and Peele or James Franklin. And I like James Franklin better, but anyway, the reason we were bringing this up and I'm telling you this little information is because there's some crazy bleeping show that's coming on, and I'm so confused because it's going to have James Franklin, a.k.a. Keegan-Michael Key. It's going to have one of the Williams sisters. We can't figure it out if it's going to be Serena or Venus because I don't know. And somehow Gronk, who I thought was going back to play football. Dude, I'm so confused. And I have no idea what the game is about. It just says, game on, and here's what it says. A new sports comedy entertainment show based on the BAFTA. What is BAFTA? Winning a UK series, A League of Their Own. Okay, now I'm so more confused than when I Googled it. So I'm lost, bro. And I don't get it. And I don't know why we're doing this. And again, I just have to ask a question. If my man Gronk is doing a TV show, how is my man getting ready for football? You know what I'm saying? Like,
of course I do. Absolutely.
I'm not saying, like, I know you can have fun or take a little time off, but he did take a whole thing called a whole damn year off.
With these sports shows, right? These sports like entertainment shows. Remember, didn't Steph Curry like try to launch one?
I think he did.
Is it still on the air?
Does. I don't know because it was on I think Facebook or something, and I don't
they
watch.
Usually aren't
those shows.
very successful. I'm not trying to doom it before it starts, but I don't know.
I'm sorry. I think Gronk, by the way, the reason I brought this up is because we're about to get to my favorite segment called Hardwood, and I brought this up because I've never heard of this show called Game On, but they are really heavily using Gronkowski, the whole, Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, they're throwing the Williams sisters out there. They're really trying to pump this CBS show up. And I understand you want to pump up your show. But again, how excited could, anyway, I'm going to get to this in just a minute. But before I do anything else, I do want to remind you this. We're going to Hardwood because it feels so good, but you don't get to go to Hardwood without one important thing, and that's all of y'all listening and my peoples taking care of my peoples, and I'm talking about MemphisFarmers.com. Chad Gatlin's got your back. That's MemphisFarmers.com. When you see Chad Gatlin, actually, when you go to MemphisFarmers.com, it'll say Daniel Gatlin. His friends call him Chad. You're going to get to know him. You'll call him Chad. You can call him at 901-235-1176. That's 901-235-1176. But remember this, he is your local farmer's agent. He loves helping his customers. He's going to identify the insurance coverage that best fits your needs. He's Memphis born. He's Memphis bred. He knows how it works. He's straightforward. He's personal, and he's going to make sure you get everything you need and nothing you don't. He truly understands the coverage of his clients and what their needs are, and he's there to help you, and he's always happy to answer any questions. Give him a call at 901-235-1176 or just go to MemphisFarmers.com. Let's go to Hardwood.
This is Access Hardwood.
Ooh-wee. So many places to start, but I first got to start with a colorblind man calling the Los Angeles Rams new uniforms ugly. I know I can't see all the colors, but damn, the colors I can see, I know you ain't supposed to mix those colors up.
So NCAA 14 came out, right, in 2013, right, and they had these high school uniforms you could design.
Yep.
It's called Road to Glory.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks genuinely just like the uniforms you could design in NCAA 14. They are so ugly. Why? The Rams did this whole rebranding strategy, I guess, and they changed their logo, a couple emblems they had, and now they want to change these uniforms. And I'm going to have to give a big fat F on both accounts. Their logo's horrible. The jerseys are bad. They have failed the rebranding offseason. I don't know what to say other than that.
By the way, I think you're 100% right. I just don't honestly know, though, how can they hired somebody who got paid a buttload of money to do this, and you would think that they would have some type of artistic talent. But dude,
and aren't they going to be in a new stadium this year?
Oh yeah, they're
you're
going
to. Those are the best uniforms you could put out there.
Dude.
Look, I don't know what to say, man. I thought that they could do better than that. Honestly, they could have just stayed with what they had. I had no problem with them, but what they've done and what the Falcons have done with their uniforms is just blasphemous. It's hard to watch.
Well, I will tell you also about reality of life. And I'm going to, again, let everybody at 67129 know the opening topic is, will somebody tell me what the hell Game On is? Because I don't know. And I don't know how Gronk and a Williams sister and Key Michael P. or whatever, a.k.a. James Franklin, can do this. And I don't even know how it's going to be interesting. But I'd also want to know is realistically, have you read the Von Miller and how scared he was about finding out that he had COVID-19. Has anybody read that? Because this is where, again, as much as we want to get back to normal, as much as we want to do all these things, it's the pro baseball players, the college football players, the NFL players, the NBA players. David Stern has come out today and said in the next 2 to 4 weeks, he's going to make a decision on what they're going to do in the NBA. What did I say?
You did say David Stern.
Did I really?
Rest in peace,
Rest
David
in
Stern.
peace, brother. I guess I was thinking old school. But no, Adam Silver is going to come out, and he's going to sit there and say in 2 to 4 weeks what they are going to do. But what I have to say is, in the fall, the NFL is going to have to do the same thing. Major League Baseball, they're talking about the players are going to have to sign a waiver on the amount of risk they're willing to take so they don't sue the league if they do get COVID-19. But a reason I bring this up is Von Miller had enough, he's a big dude. He's got the cojones. He basically came out in an interview in the Washington Post and basically said he's never been so scared. He got asthma. His lungs were attacked big time. He says his nebulizer wouldn't help him. He thought he was going to die. He said he was fighting just to breathe. He couldn't sleep. His oxygen levels had dropped so bad. The man was in the hospital. And again, Von Miller is a NFL football player who is 31 years old. He fought off the virus just a few days ago. He is now in recovery. But he's telling everybody, take social distancing serious. Take all of this serious. No doubt it scared the hell out of me. In fact, I've never been so frightened in my life. I thought I was going to die.
31 years old. We talk about at the beginning of this thing how younger people are not affected. This is a guy who couldn't be in better shape, honestly.
Dude, but he has also that underlining. He has like asthma, you know what I mean? And that's one of those things.
He's also big, so high blood pressure is something
possibly.
that could come into
like,
the
who knows? There's so many things. But again, it's just, it is crazy. Now, fun stuff for Hardwood. Are you ready? Guess who's the big Kardashian's baby daddy?
No idea.
Me neither, but she says it's not Khloe. She says it's not Khloe. Khloe says it's not Tristan. Now, when you come out there and say it ain't this man, doesn't that usually mean it's this man? Or am I like kind of mistaken?
It could in certain situations, right?
I mean, they do.
Most
have a
situations,
baby
honestly,
together.
yeah. If you're like counting someone out and you're saying their name out loud, usually there's like something in the back of your mind telling you it might be that person.
Can I just tell everybody the fun part of my day? Well, I'm a loser. I follow the Kardashians because, yeah, dude, you never.
You don't watch a show, do you?
Oh hell no! I can't stand that.
Oh,
stuff.
I can't stand when I come home.
But
My girlfriend has it blaring.
Oh really? See, I only got into them after the Ray J video, and then no, just kidding.
Wait, the Ray J. You watched the Ray J video?
I have seen the Ray J video, and it's very, very like sad. Like also One Night in Paris is very, very also like really disappointed me. Do me a favor, don't answer the phone. Now, this is why I love social media, and people are going to be like, I can't believe you follow Khloe Kardashian. Yes, I do. You can make fun of me, but this is why. Because if I didn't follow her, I wouldn't be reading this. I don't go on social media platforms much these days. By the way, this is Khloe Kardashian on her social media account. I don't go on social media platforms much these days, and this is one of the main reasons as to why I stay away. The sick and hurtful things people say. I am disgusted by so many things I am seeing. Shaking my head. People swearing they know everything about me, including my uterus. Sick. You don't know who my baby daddy is. I just love
I think
that.
the first part of it, and look, I bet she does get some nasty things.
Oh, I'm sure she does.
But like the first part, I don't go on social media platforms very often while you're on your social media platform.
Exactly.
Probably not the best start, but
And then
I think the point of it is there though.
I do. I feel the point.
Whoever's trying to accuse her of certain things on social media should probably butt out. Unless you're like real close.
Now the funniest part though is right after she said I don't go on social media things, fans posted and noted that over the last year she had like 12,000 posts. For somebody who doesn't go on social media very often. Woo-wee. I thought that was interesting. Just like I thought it was so damn interesting that our world has changed so much that Ferrari used to make cars. You know what they're making now? The things that you breathe with. What is it called? A ventilator?
Ventilator.
And I'm not talking about the one that's above the hood, the one that you put over your head. Like Ferrari, like, is that the dopest ventilator in the world? Like, in a few years, when COVID-19 is beat down, are we going to see, like, the next dude sitting in a Ferrari ventilator and it's going to have marijuana smoke coming through it like my man did down in Ole Miss?
I think, a ventilator, I think that would defeat the purpose of a ventilator.
Well, you would have, instead of oxygen, you'd have the weed smoke
Yeah,
coming
but
in.
I think that would defeat the purpose because a ventilator is supposed to help you breathe.
I don't know. But
That would
what if you
definitely
wanted to
hinder your
breathe,
ability to breathe.
But didn't that guy, like...
You would cough.
Okay,
you got to imagine,
I'm
right?
just curious. I just want to ask this question if I'm right or wrong. Laramie Tunsil was in a gas mask, right?
That's not a ventilator.
But it's
Two
supposed
totally
to help you
different
breathe,
things.
right?
No. A gas mask, like that type of gas mask, is definitely not supposed to help you breathe. A normal gas mask will help you breathe in bad situations. If there was mustard gas, if there was tear gas, yes, a gas mask would help you breathe. But a gas mask itself, if I walk outside into a normal day under normal conditions and wear a gas mask, it's not going to help me breathe.
Oh, but if you are doing it like Laramie Tunsil,
But
you
yeah,
can get
I mean,
super, super high, I see.
It helps him do other things, I guess.
Okay.
Yes.
Interesting. Okay, well, I was just wondering if maybe in a few years, next thing you know, like Snoop's going to be like, yo, I got my
Ferrari ventilator.
My Ferrari ventilator, yo, and I hooked it up, and weed be coming out of it all the time and stuff, man. Oh, I really
Only
was
you
thinking,
could think of this stuff.
Well, that
man.
was the first thing I thought. Was like, wait a second.
That's the first thing you thought when you heard about Ferrari making ventilators.
I mean, my first thought was, oh, I'm so proud that Ferrari's
stepping up
and helping fight COVID-19. And then the thing that I initially, immediately I went to, oh, you wait. This is going to be a specialty item. And, the dudes who are, the big-time smokers like Snoop Dogg and, serious, Amsterdam, Cannabis Cup winners, they're going to get a Ferrari ventilator and hook it up to, their pot-smoking devices. And they're going to be, sitting under their Ferrari ventilator hood getting... super high. At least that's what I thought.
And again, I have to ask you, this is the first thought that came across your head.
It was second.
What was the first?
First, remember, I thought, oh, that was nice.
Oh, that was nice.
Yeah,
okay.
my first thought is nice, and then I was like, whoa, this is going to be a specialty item. And then last but not least, y'all know LaShawn McCoy, right? Now, LaShawn McCoy, out of all the things that have happened in his life, and I don't think, I have to think too hard. I know people who listen to this show don't have to think too hard because I've told you about. Do y'all know about his boat? Do you know about his boating trip? You weren't working with my show. You know, LaShawn McCoy, when he had I think it was his 22nd birthday, or it was one of those younger birthday. He invited 50 women on a yacht with him.
Yeah, that's common for a guy in his position.
I mean, that was pretty cool. You know how many dudes he invited?
0?
Yeah, that's my guy, dude. That's how you roll.
Okay.
So anyway. He's had some things. I mean, he's even had, people had some bad allegations in his past. You know what I mean? But do you want to know what he literally said the worst decision of his life ever was? This is what he said. The worst decision I've ever made in my life, and I will never live it down, was by giving the Avengers Endgame and coming out and tweeting, he tweeted, "Rest in peace, my dog Tony Stark on April 26, 2019. That was before most people were able to see this Marvel flick that I've never seen and will never see. He said that tweet made him public enemy number one, and he said he's never got more hate mail from going out there and ruining the ending of the Avengers. Now, I just want to sit there and say, obviously, this is an old movie if we're talking about it a year later, but if you were asked that question, Gabe, and somebody said, what's the biggest mistake you've ever made? Do you think giving the ending to an Avengers show would come up? Like, would that be on, your list?
No. I don't even know if that would even come across my mind.
What in the heck is LaShawn thinking?
I know some people might take pride in ruining it for people, right?
Yeah, some people actually would.
Would that even come across your mind, though? If you were thinking about the worst things you've ever done.
No, and
I ruined a movie for people.
I ruined a poo, and everybody was mad at me. Now, I want to ask last question during Hardwood, and then I got to go and take a quick break. Holyfield Tyson 3, is it really going to happen? Well, I don't know. Do you think there's any chance? And what's more likely?
Let me go ahead.
Tyson Holyfield 3 or Fight Island? What's more real?
Fight Island's definitely more real.
So Fight Island's more real?
actually going to happen.
So do you? Okay, why can't I find anything on Fight Island? This is what's
because
scaring me.
it's going to be under wraps until.
Okay,
until
so
it
it's
happens.
real.
I believe so.
You believe
yes.
so?
Dana White has even talked
Dana
about
White
it. The
talked
commissioner
about it
has talked about
I've
it.
watched him on TV. But when you Google
He
it,
could be messing with us. I don't know. I mean, a Google search will take you to something about
dude.
it.
It doesn't
But
say much.
the Tyson thing. Have you heard his quote recently?
Yes.
Good guy. Is that sounds like him in his prime?
Sure
what
does.
his mind said. He said, "It may not be over yet. Anything's possible. I feel unstoppable now." And this is the kicker here. The gods of war have reawakened me, ignited my ego, and I want to go to war again. He sounds like he wants to go again.
I think it's going to be dope. But can I honestly say?
Would you pay for the fight?
Yes.
What
I would
if it's
actually pay.
$64.99? That's normal pay-per-view price nowadays.
Well, I usually would say no because I'm a cheap person. But because it's two old dudes, and yeah, I'd do it just to see them. And I also have to say, I want to see that dude. I want to see Fight Island. Like, honestly, if this is happening, I want this to happen. So Dana White, quit teasing people. If you make this real and you put that crazy dude who wrestled Bear, how do you say his name? Nurmagomedov or whatever?
Khabib. Just say Khabib.
Oh, that's his first name, I guess. Khabib? Khabib. But his last name is really long, like crazy, right?
Nurmagomedov is what I believe it is.
Nurmagomedov?
You were close.
Oh, pretty good for no thanks. Now, hey, I'm also close to a break. I'll be back in 2 shakes. Sports 56, 96.1, and of course 87.7 FM.
Spend your lunch with Greg Gaston and Eli Savoy on Sports 56 middays, delivered by FedEx. Weekdays from 10 to 1 on Sports 56, 96.1, and 87.7.
Hi, it's the Herd. There are some people who seem like they're prepared for anything. Got a cut, they got a Band-Aid. Need a battery? They'll have multiple sizes on hand. But if they're worried about identity theft and only monitoring their credit, they may not be as prepared as they think. Breaches seem like they're happening more these days. They are. And with your breached info, like your name, social security number, more criminals can commit identity theft. That's why LifeLock sees more threats, like somebody taking out a payday loan in your name, alerts you to a possible suspicious activity going on. And if you end up having an identity theft issue, you'll have a dedicated identity restoration specialist just a phone call away. Nobody prevents all identity theft or monitors all transactions at all businesses. Right now, join LifeLock. Save up to 25% off your first year. Go to LifeLock.com, promo code HERD. LifeLock.com, promo code HERD, 25% off.
You have to be up in 5 hours, 2 hours, 6 minutes. And when you hear, you realize that you haven't slept a wink. That's why there's ZzzQuil Pure Z's, a drug-free blend of botanicals with an optimal dose of melatonin, so you can fall asleep naturally with no next-day grogginess. It's available in both liquid and gummies, tastes great, and is non-habit forming. Pick up ZzzQuil Pure Z's from the sleep experts at Vicks ZzzQuil. ZzzQuil Pure Z's, naturally superior sleep. Available at retailers near you.
Hi, I'm Troy Fiveash, owner of Fiveash Roofing. Can anyone explain to me why anyone would care how I measure your roof? We have all heard about measuring your roof from outer space. Well, to be honest, there are aerial pictures that are taken every 4 years that can be used to measure a building, but it's not from outer space. Besides, no one, and I mean no one, can tell you what's wrong with your roof or even if you need one by using pictures that might be 4 years old. If you would rather do business with a family-owned and operated business with a lifelong tie to Memphis that refuses to mislead or use gimmicks, please give me a call. Best products, best warranties, and the best customer service we know how to provide. Fiveash Roofing, proud partner of the Memphis Tigers and the official roofer of the Memphis Tigers home team. Fiveash Roofing, fair, honest, and ethical. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com. 367-0050 or memphisroofer.com.
Fiveash Roofing, it's what we do. We're here for you.
And now a game of Commercial Chicken, brought to you by Progressive, where we see how long Flo can go without talking about insurance. Ready? Go.
Oh, hi. Okay, guess we should talk about something. Kind of tough to be put on the spot. Not sure what to say. But I know what I'm definitely not talking about. Drivers who switch to Progressive could save big.
Okay, you win. We can't help but save customers money. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Welcome back to Sports 56 Happy Hour with Johnny Radio.
Kick it over here.
This hour is brought to you by MemphisFarmers.com. Insurance coverage backed by a local agent and a brand trusted nationwide. We are farmers. MemphisFarmers.com.
Yo, welcome back into a little Sports 56 Happy Hour, and I'm very happy to be here with you. It is my last segment. I am your buddy John Harden, Gabe Kuhn. He is with me. Coming up next, we got Sports Time with Wolo and Stats. They're going to drive you home from 3 to 6 and fill you in on all the great things. But before I say goodbye, I have to say thank you very much to RJ Anderson of CBS Sports, to my good friend Keith Farnsworth out in Arizona, Fan Tracks, Fan Graph, Baseball Prospectus, anything baseball fantasy _ Keith, anything you can think of. Don't forget RJ Anderson. But thank you to everybody, and big thanks to Gabe Kuhn for setting everything up, and also the rundown. But I got to ask Gabe Kuhn this. As today we talk about Shaq and Draymond going back and forth. This is the one thing I can just come out and say, unequivocally, without a doubt. We can fight about sports. We can fight about whatever, but the one thing we cannot fight about is I would not want to date in this era. Two things. When I was growing up, do you know when you argue with a woman or talk with a woman, it was just called discourse. Now when you explain yourself, it's called mansplaining. And it's like, we never right. I ain't ever seen a dude under 45 years old win a fight. And
Have you seen somebody a dude over 45
I win my
win a
fights,
fight?
dog it. That's why I've been divorced twice
All
already.
right.
Don't play no games with me.
All right.
No, but it is hilarious. And I was listening to my brother, and him and his girlfriend were in a fight over this. And this is, I feel bad. I just already said it was my brother. He's the young one, by the way. His name's Blade. Him and his girlfriend were fighting over this. And guess what? Because she still had her Tinder thing, and they'd kind of gone on a couple dates or whatever. And he looked at it, and she had like 1,500 likes on Tinder. And he's like, dang. Like, you're kind of, and he said something like, excuse me? Well, I didn't say I was with all 15. None of your business, man. Like, anyway, the whole thing that she came back and the words that she said, like, there's only one word I would have come back with. And then he said he would have said that to her, he would have gotten beat up. But wouldn't you have called her? That's a little.
I would have excused myself from the situation.
I would have too.
It's probably what I would have. It's
What's
nowadays.
the word?
I think in nowadays terms, right?
That is very harlot-ish.
Excuse yourself.
That is very harlot-ish. I can say that, right? Yes. And I just thought to myself, I am so glad to have a girlfriend. And I also have to say this. Because of Shaq and Dre, because of The Last Dance and talking about the old versus the new, seems like we don't do it near as much in baseball. We don't do it nearly as much in football also, which is interesting. I wonder what it is about the sport of basketball that brings up so many of these arguments. And I keep thinking back to it because out of all the sports outside of the NFL, which has had a drastic change over the last couple decades, NBA, that's a game that may have changed more so than any other sport. Do you agree or disagree? Like the style of play. I mean, look, it's still 9 dudes versus 9 dudes. There's a pitcher, there's a catcher. Yeah, they throw harder. Rules have changed. Some of the fields are smaller. Baseball, it's still like it's baseball.
I agree to a certain extent because there's players, and I think
tough,
basketball's up there as well. Because you look at some of the players back in the day, especially.
They didn't have a 3-point shot. Like
there's a lot of players.
Before the 70s, basketball was so different. Like 50s, but 60s basketball was different than 70s basketball. Then 80s and 90s was different than the 2000s. And now, like today's basketball.
And then not to mention football. Come on now.
Football has changed a whole lot. But how come we don't argue football near as much? It is just wild. Baseball, it doesn't get near as much. But if you want to start an argument, All you got to do is bring up MJ and LeBron, and your phone and your text and your whole line will go crazy. Speaking of go crazy, don't you dare touch that dial. Wolo and Stats are coming up next. For Gabe Kuhn, I'm John Harden. Do me a favor. Get out there. Make the world a better place. I'll see y'all on the flip side. Peace.
Pros. Lowe's wants to help you keep working. That's why we're open for pro business hours 6 to 7 a.m. Monday through Saturday. You'll find the quantities you expect with dedicated pro associates and loaders to help you get what you need fast and load you up curbside.